Hey everybody, so today I'm going to be doing a video all about the college application process and just 5 things that I wish that I had considered more heavily or known when applying to college. I feel like I've seen a ton of videos lately all about things that people wish they knew before college, but not necessarily before applying to college, and the college application process is so stressful, and I feel like a million different people tell you different things, and it's just very conflicting and difficult to sort through sometimes. So these are just 5 things that I wish that I had considered more or known before applying to college, and hopefully you find them helpful. So my first thing might sound really obvious, but I don't think I fully grasped this when applying to colleges. Don't apply to colleges that you don't want to go to. I feel like I could have cut the number of colleges that I applied to in half, easily. But I applied to so many schools just as safety schools, or because a lot of my friends were going there and they didn't even have my field of study, or it was just a completely different school than I wanted to go to, and I don't know why I did that. I feel like when I was applying to colleges, I really glorified a lot of schools because a lot of my friends were going, or it was just a very common school to go to from my high school, and so I thought that was the track I was supposed to be on. So I took the time to apply and paid all the fees to send my SAT and all that kind of stuff, and I knew that I didn't want to go. So again, I know that it sounds really common sense, but now that I'm a junior in college and a lot of my friends are juniors or seniors at this point, I feel like we've all talked about the places that we applied and we're like, oh, that's funny, imagine if I had gone here, or remember when you applied to here? We've just all admitted that there were so many random places that we applied that we just knew that we wouldn't end up at. So if I could go back and redo my college application process, I honestly think that I'd apply to 4 schools tops. I think I applied to 8 or 9 by the time that college applications closed. So I could easily cut that number in half and just apply to the schools that I really wanted to go to and still have a safety school in there. And it would just save so much time, so much money again. So the second thing that I wish I had considered more when applying to schools was the size of the school. I attend a very small school. I believe our undergrad is about 6,000 students, and I cannot imagine going to a school with more than 10,000 max. I love attending a small school, and I applied to so many schools that had 20, 30, 40,000 people in them, just because it wasn't really a factor for me. I saw pros and cons to both sides of having a big school and a small school, but now being at a small school, I know that I could not handle a big school. I love being at a small school because I really like just running into people, having friends kind of everywhere I go. My classes are honestly where I met the majority of my friends, and that wouldn't have happened if I was in a 300-person lecture hall. It also really forces me to pay attention in class because my professors know my name, they know my personality, they're not afraid to call me out if I'm not participating, or just anything among those lines, which I really like. I like having those close relationships with my professors and my classmates and stuff like that. But if you don't, and you definitely are more of a person that just likes to kind of slide by under the radar and just get in and get out, then you might want to consider a bigger school because you don't have to participate as much, or you can just kind of blend in those $400 person courses, if that makes sense. So definitely consider the size of your school, because I know that I thrive in a small school, but I also know people that feel it's too small and claustrophobic, and they hate that they always run into people and can't go anywhere without getting a breath in. But I personally really love that about my school. The next thing that I wish I'd considered more was the surrounding area of the school. I go to school in the middle of North Carolina. There's nothing nearby really. If you want to go to a city, you have to drive at least 30, 45 minutes to an hour, depending on what you count as a city. So at my school, there's not a ton of stuff to do on the weekend. You can't, I mean you can, but it's more effort to go somewhere, rather than if you went to school in New York City or DC, where you just walk down the street and there's tons of things happening all the time. It's just not necessarily like that in a smaller town, rural area of living, which was an adjustment for me coming from living pretty close to DC. And I just blatantly did not consider that. I didn't think anything of it. People were kind of mentioning it, but it was kind of going over my head. So make sure that when you're applying to schools, you know if it's just a very campus-y feel, if it's a college town, or if it's a city incorporated school, etc. Just so you know the environment that you're getting into. Also, if you're looking for a sports school, you're probably not going to find that in a very small town with a very small school. So if you want to go somewhere with a big football team, or a city life, or just a college campus feel, or whatever it is, make sure that you're looking into that when you're applying for schools, and when you visit, take note of what's around in the area. If you have to drive 25 minutes to get to a Target, maybe that's not for you if you like a very fast-paced life, or the opposite, just anything like that. Like, just really consider how you live and how you want to live for the next 4 years, because I feel like I didn't grasp that I was physically moving somewhere for 4 years for college. Like, obviously not everybody takes 4 years, or some people take longer, but roughly you are living somewhere for 4 years, so make sure that that's somewhere you could see yourself living. So the next thing is probably the most influential on me personally, and that is looking at the recruitment numbers through a student's lens, like not through a website on your university. Because I know my university and so many different schools, like it's not just mine, put up smaller numbers for affiliated Greek life students than they really are, because they'll use like fall recruitment numbers or spring recruitment if they do fall, like etc. Like, they just make sure that their numbers look smaller than they are. And as an unaffiliated student, I wish I had known just how affiliated my school was, because that's honestly my biggest issue with the school. And I would have definitely considered other schools, knowing that my school is as affiliated as it was. And opposite with that also, like if you are really excited about rushing a sorority or a fraternity, like don't go somewhere where they have 3 sororities and 3 fraternities. You know, like you're gonna want to go to a bigger school, or a school with a lot more involvement with fraternity and sorority life. Like, make sure you're applying to a college that fits your wants for that. And I think it's also important to note that Greek life is just one portion of a school. Like, I love my school to death, I'm very happy here, but like there are days when I feel very unaffiliated, and those days suck, to be like quite candid. Like, it's just like a shitty place to be some days. But overall, like, I absolutely love my school. Like, you'll find your friends, you'll find your people. But I think it's important to consider that, like, if you don't want to be affiliated, don't go to a school where 90% of girls are affiliated. You're going to feel being that 10%, if that makes sense. And then my last thing that I wish I had considered was the culture of the school outside of tours. I didn't even tour all the schools that I applied to, because like I said, I knew that I didn't want to go, so like it didn't matter. And I believe that all but one of the schools that I applied to, I had friends or like somebody's sibling. I had some connection from my high school to a student that actively went there, and I would really recommend reaching out to them and asking if they'd be willing to get coffee or show you around quickly, because sometimes tours can be very hit or miss. For example, I did a tour in a state school, and my tour was so horrific. I almost like drove home immediately because it was that bad. It was like snowing, and like the tour guide was really unhappy to be there, which like naturally it's snowing and you have to walk outside for 2 hours, like I get it, but it really influenced my like thought process towards the school, because I left, like I went in thinking like, oh, I could kind of see myself here, and then after my tour, like my dad and I were like, there's no way I'm coming here, like this is horrible, like I hate this school. But I ended up spending the night with one of my friends from high school, and we went out with her friends, and we went and kind of like explored the campus at night, and just like being with her friends and going out with them completely made me go 180 on the school. Like all of a sudden I saw myself there, and I was like, wow, this was really fun. Like I had a really great night, and I loved seeing how your friends interacted with each other and how the campus is so alive at night and there's so many things to do, and it just completely, like I said, like flipped my perspective on the school. And I did the same thing when I toured Elon. I went and got coffee with a girl that I knew, and she showed me around like her dorm, and we got coffee, and we just like talked about the school and like how she liked it and like what I was looking into, and it made me feel so much better. Also, I had a great tour at my school. I toured a couple times, and each of my tour guides were great. I remember all their names. They were great. But like I said, meeting up with somebody at both of those schools like made me, for the state school, like completely change sides, and then for Elon, they made me like realize that this was like definitely where I wanted to be. So I don't know, just like consider that. So those were just 5 things that I wish that I had considered more when applying to colleges. Like I said, I'm super happy at my school, but there are a ton of colleges that I applied to that I would never ever go to, and there are schools that I wish that I had applied to just in general. So definitely keep your options open. Don't get too hung up in the name of your degree. I know that that's something that both me and my friends kind of got hung up on a little bit. Like, for example, my degree is strategic communications, but like strategic communications at my school is like PR and advertising at another school. Like, don't get caught up in the name. If you're studying communications, you're going to be studying communications. Obviously, some schools are better than others, but like, don't get too caught up in like the specific name of the degree. That was a bonus tip. I need to end this video. I'm rambling. Anyway, if you've already applied to college and you have like a tip that you think I missed or something that you realized, please leave it in the comment section down below. I'm sure people would love to read through them and they'd be super helpful. And if you have any other requests or anything like that for more college videos or any other types of videos, I would love to read them. And yeah, I think that's it. So I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.